You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Arkham Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech.
There it is. Yep. It's been a minute. Welcome to Geek.Nerd.Tech, the show that gives you geek news, nerd culture from a black and brown geek perspective. I think I messed that up, but it's okay. I'm Joe Braswell, joined as always by my man Achilles Shine.
What's good, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Just moving and grooving, man. We've been traveling a bit, handling some business.
It's been a while since we graced the studios here at BHL to do our G&T thing, but we're glad to be back. We have been traveling and working and shooting and doing all the things that we do in our non-podcast lives, but we landed at a perfect time because a lot of stuff's happening, including E3.
Absolutely.
Which we were involved in this week, and an opportunity to go and see just about everything, everything to do with anything involving the world of video games and consoles and everything else. So we're going to do a middle section, talk about that, and kind of get into that because we saw a lot and we have a lot of thoughts. And we definitely want to, unpack all that stuff. But
for sure.
But first, let's get to like a couple of these stories that these hot stories that are here now. We're talking a lot about Apple, and the purchase of Beats and how that whole thing went down. And now that's happened. Now, people, analysts are trying to unpack it and try to figure out what is Apple's game.
Yeah, what's the strategy?
Yeah, because we know Apple has iTunes, and Beats Music is a subscription service.
Correct.
iTunes has messed with that model. That iTunes is just a pay service; you buy it.
Right.
So what are they doing there? And the speculation is really to get Apple to get into the TV business.
Right.
The theory here is that, looking at like a Netflix or an HBO or some of these other models where, people pay to get television movies and to get that content, a subscription-based service, and Apple already has a service where they can't really mess with a subscription-based service because their iTunes model is you purchase the movies and television shows.
Right.
They may be able to use this Beats engine to be able to run a Netflix-like subscription service situation. Now, they're not necessarily saying they're going to get into the business of making their own content like HBO and Netflix, but it is an alternative in the Apple universe with the Beats brand for them to be able to do this. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's definitely a pairing of relationships. I think Steve Jobs and Jimmy Iovine, had an endearing relationship when he was still around, and I think that's a big reason why iTunes was successful, because Steve Jobs literally went door to door, to the music industry. Yeah. Trying to get them to support this new model to save the music industry. So I think now, fast forward to 2014, the industry has changed, and I think it'll be difficult to do that now with television. So, but I think the acquisition of Beats Music and having Jimmy Iovine as such a pivotal leadership position is going to help them kind of like spread the net to television, because he has those relationships. Right. I mean, Universal owns Universal Music and all those television shows under Universal. Jimmy Iovine is all in the fold. So to have him kind of heading the digital department or heading the television, sector of it, I think that's the strategy.
It's a good strategy. I like it a lot, and it's funny. People don't realize. Steve Jobs did have to go door to door, and Jimmy Iovine was early adopter of iTunes and embraced the strategy. And there's that great video that's on YouTube now of one of the announcements, one of the big Apple. What do you call them?
The announcements.
Yes, they're called. I forget what they're called. Never mind. But yeah, the big Apple thing, and I'm dropping that. Steve Jobs has Dr. Dre on FaceTime.
Right.
It's a funny conversation.
Yeah.
It's like Steve Jobs like, "Hello, Dre, is that you? Hello, Steve. Are you making beats up there, Dre?" It's on YouTube, but it's really, really funny. I like it a lot. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see how that works out.
I want to
keynote. That's what I'm looking for. The keynote.
For sure. I want to note this too in terms of, I think, like all the audio devices, obviously, that Apple will produce will be branded with Beats, and I think that they will expand, obviously, their product line aside from just the Beats music subscription. But they're going to expand the product line, and I'll have more hardware. But I think, again, the strategy is for them really to. I mean, I know this is all speculation, but Apple wants to drop their TV. They want to be in the television business for years. I think this is the move. Like this is the veil, I guess this will be unveiled, but this is the way that they're going to do it.
Sure. Is that the real logo, or is that a mock-up?
I think that's a mock-up.
Okay, that's it's kind of. I don't know. One last thing on that. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
One last thing on that is, Apple's also known. I mean, has been known over the years aesthetically for their design. And sort of like people, the prestige of their design and what they've been able to do over the years has been won awards and it's been one of the main reasons people came over to left PCs to go to Apple, because they just looked cooler and they just kept doing that, and Steve Jobs kept pushing that. Ironically, same thing with Beats. Beats headphones, aside from the audio quality, superior audio quality, they look great.
Yeah.
And they look fantastic. So it'll be interesting to see that the design blend of what they were able to do with Beats and that brand and design, and what Apple's able to do and how they fused it together. That's why I was wondering if that was the logo, because hopefully
it seemed like a good marriage. Yeah.
But
you're right.
We'll see if they fuse them or if they keep them separate. But
for sure.
Anyway, so moving on. So another big thing that we were talking about, folks were talking about this week, is the World Cup. Started yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's dropping, man. Everything's happening.
Yeah, so a lot of activity in the world.
A lot of activity. We're very, very excited. We're very not excited to be here instead of Brazil. I know we both would love to be in Brazil right now.
Man, I'm hating myself for not being over there right now, man.
Watching all those opening ceremonies.
All of that, man.
Pitbull and J-Lo and everybody shaking around. I'm like, where are we? Blah.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about the World Cup, aside from the fact that this is like I watch soccer or football, as they call it overseas, once every 4 years.
Yeah.
And I will say that I'm a fair weather fan, but when World Cup happens, I am dialed in. I am all about it.
Entrenched, invested all the way, man. It's exciting times, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's not a time, I mean, aside from the Olympics, I think even the World Cup might be more exciting than the Olympics.
Yeah.
Where the whole world is paying attention, rooting for their country. And it's like, they're going hard. Like, this is like,
going hard.
Like revolutionary, almost like die hard for my country.
Exactly. We saw that. Yeah. We saw that 4 years ago. And I think we'll see it here now. And
for sure.
It's exciting. But the reason why we're talking about it on our show is, much like the Super Bowl, we talked about this when the Super Bowl passed. This is going to be like they're calling it sort of the biggest media event ever.
Absolutely.
And not only because of, eyeballs will be on it from around the world. Obviously, you have every country, competing in this thing. So every country will be, televising it and watching it. Not only because of that, which is the obvious, but this year, again, we're folding in social media. We're folding into multiple devices. We're folding in people with an iPhone, iPad, watching the TV, engaging, Twitter, internationally, cross-cut, hashtag. I mean, it is engagement at its height.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, I feel like the last World Cup, Facebook hadn't even gone public. There was no Instagram. Yeah. So you have all these new social media outlets and networks that people are entrenched and engaged on, and they will be, using that during the World Cup. Like, companies are doing activations, hashtags, all tied into the World Cup. It's a lot of product, it's a lot of experiential things that are happening, and like never before has like a worldwide event. I mean, aside from the Olympics, but a worldwide event will be on this scale. I think I read a statistic that said the hashtag World Cup in the last 3 days was more than all the posts for the Olympics in the last 3 days just for the World Cup.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, because people engagement is just, and what they talk about too is that it's not just about like the Olympics. Of course, you have people watching. You have everyone. The world is watching the Olympics. It's great. Same thing. Countries watching. The difference is, the soccer fan is different from the gymnastics fan or the biathlon fan or whatever it is. Soccer fans are extremely passionate, extremely engaged, and they are very social. We've never seen anything like. Even football fans aren't this social, aren't at this level. So we haven't really seen anything like this. You know, I mean, so that
and I think culturally, they're social because again, like aforementioned. Like people are rooting for their country, national pride. So, you know, it's more of a groundswell to, you know, be able to, you know, shoot out a tweet or post a picture with your flag in the background, your colors on or whatever, rooting for your team because, you know, it's building community. Even though it's a world community, people are still rooting for their own niche, their own country. And I think that's why it's going to be like just momentum behind it on the social media.
Man, I mean, you know, I don't know what the metrics are, how you measure all this measured individually, collectively, but I mean, really to see some sort of like breakdown on 538 or Nate Silver do some sort of breakdown of like statistically who's watching, just engagement, you know, those numbers. I mean, it's incredible.
Here's a cool thing that Pinterest is actually doing. They partner with ESPN and TripAdvisor, where in each city you can drop a company can drop a pin and say, hey, this is the spot to be for you to watch the World Cup. And so it's a way for restaurants, for bars to be able to promote themselves and galvanize fans. So like, hey, if you don't want to be at the crib watching it, you could go to the local bar and check out Pinterest to see, you know, what your options are. And then you go there and then after the World Cup is over, people still will have, you know, knowledge of the new sports bar or the best place to watch the sports game. So that's just an example that Pinterest is doing, using social media to, like, you know, integrate themselves with the World Cup.
Endless brand opportunities, endless branding opportunities. All right, so we'll be watching as well and engaging and tweeting and doing all that stuff. So moving on, let's talk about Amazon. Bezos has finally announced this. It's kind of a ho-hum announcement, but we got to cover it. They've announced their music service, like late to the party, late to the game. I know, I'm telling you, man. You know, Prime Music. Ugh. You know, their player. I mean, it's, you know, you know, we talked a lot about Amazon and Bezos and taking over the world and everything else, but this just feels like, you know, basically if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get it free. If you're not, you can do the sort of like Spotify subscription base. But with, you know, Beats Music and Spotify and all the others that have been launched, this seems late. Now, I think that, you know, Bezos is sort of betting on this whole Prime being the end-all be-all, you know, for content and everything else, and these Prime members being able to say, if you're a Prime member, you get everything, including music, including books, including services, including, you know, film and.
Well, the thing about this Prime service for music is that, you know, there's no new releases until 6 months after they come out.
Right.
So you're pretty much, you know, getting old catalog music. However, for Pandora, which is a free service, that's who they're going after. Because, I mean, essentially, this is for the Prime user, it's a free service. And so they want, you know, instead of that guy or that girl going to Pandora to listen to music at work or wherever, just use this one. And so that's kind of like the strategy.
And also people that use Pandora and some people use it in their offices and use it other places as well. And it's good for that. And yeah, frankly, not everyone's an early adopter when it comes to music. Most people are. You know, most of America is 6 months to a year behind. You know. So,
but I mean, I think I get it though. You know, you have you know, the tablet, whatever. You have, you know, all the applications on the tablet, and to have a music service is smart. I mean, because you want to be able to, you know, just stay on the tablet, stay, you know, with that device instead of having to hop on somewhere else, to hop on a different app or whatever to listen to music. So I get it for that sense.
I do think that, you know, it's part of a larger. It's just one more piece in the larger strategy, which is why the announcement wasn't a big, you know, guess what? You know, it was just more of like, you know, and also we're doing this, you know. So I think people expected it to be more like when it was buzzed about in 2013, like Amazon's coming out with a music player, you know. Now that it's here, it's kind of like, but we'll see. I mean, I still betting on Jeff Bezos.
Apple's not spending $3.2 billion on Amazon Prime Music.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And then one last thing I want to touch on, which is just a sad story, but media wise, it's happening too. Is this whole Tracy Morgan story is really, really crazy. You know, but and then sad, you know, he got that horrible car crash, and you TMZ being TMZ is running this video, the actual crash video, which had, people were killed, four people critically injured. It had, one comedian being pulled out of the car unconscious, and it's Artie Fuqua. So that's not cool. So Louis C.K. has really been vocal on Twitter and otherwise, like, take the video down. Judd Apatow has also been very vocal about this. I mean, TMZ's TMZ, but what do you think about this?
I mean, we live in a world of video. We live in a world of, everything is captured. Right. So everyone has cameras, and that's how we communicate. That's how we learn. So, I mean, I think it's useful most of the time, but I mean, I think we should still have class and taste. And I think that's kind of like what the argument is. Like, man, my man Tracy Morgan is an awesome comedian and entertainer. Like, show some regard and respect to him. Like, don't put, all of his business out there. However, there's millions of people that want to see content like that. So from a brand's perspective, I can see why. And TMZ obviously wants to capitalize every moment they can get. So I can see why they would do it. But from a ethical perspective, it's classless.
It definitely seems a little macabre, to say the least. I mean, I get that you want to show the video, but I mean, someone died in that crash. So you're watching someone die. That's the first thing. Then you're watching 4 people who critically injured. These people may or may not make it. We don't know if they're not out of the woods yet. So, I mean, I don't want to be watching over and over again the video that killed all these people. And then lastly, you've got one of the people who's critically injured, Fuqua, getting pulled out of the wreckage unconscious. I mean, it's really, really, his daughter is, is doing this petition,
I mean, but so would people have this argument, when like JFK got assassinated, stop playing the video? They play it all the time.
Yeah. The Zapruder film.
What's the difference?
I mean, I don't know. That's a deeper argument. I mean,
just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I know, but no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's Zapruder film. First of all, it wasn't even seen for years after the fact. It'd be interesting if that happened today. That's another whole separate rabbit hole to go down. But if the JFK assassination happened today, and everyone with iPhones from every angle, it would be a lot different from.
Think about the World Trade Center over and over and over again for days and days and weeks, the same looping video. Yeah, that's the world we live in.
It's true, man. It's just sad. Okay, well, let's get off of that and let's get to something a little more happy. In some cases, a little more happy. E3. We were there. The Electronic Entertainment Expo.
Man,
I've been going to this thing for like 10 years plus, maybe longer. Before we get into the announcements, this is my first thoughts is, I just felt like, I remember about 6 or 7 years ago, 5-6 years ago, I feel like it was at its zenith, at its height. I mean, I felt like, during the rock band days and when we had just more software developers spending more money. I mean, so many software developers have crashed, but the floor was full of people and full of, props and things happening and buzz. And I'm not saying it wasn't like that this year. We were there on the last day as well, so it seemed kind of a little like it was winding down.
Yeah.
It was winding down, but I'm talking about just actual presence on the floor. Walking to the 2 buildings, which are massive in LA. It just felt like I felt a lot of empty space, in the back, like the cavernous areas. So it felt like the industry's shrinking. Now, the industry itself is still making billions of dollars. It still surpasses the movie industry in terms of the money it makes. So it's not slowing down. In fact, it's making more money than it did 5-6 years ago. So it's an interesting juxtaposition as to why the show feels a little smaller. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's just perception. I think, where we went, where we placed ourselves, maybe we didn't see, everything. And I think it's the third day. I think, people shut down early. I think that, some of those, like you said, those cavernous areas, those are areas that probably just shut down. We're out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because to be placed there anyway, you're not the red carpet brand. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, I think, E3 is an amazing experience. If you haven't gone, you should definitely go. Like, you're going to see some incredible things, like just the installations, like the design of some of the booths, just the overall experience. It's just amazing just to see like the graphics, the gaming, the interaction, the people, the energy. It's a heightened thing, and I mean I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's the second year I've gone. Last year was more of a hardware console release type of E3 because you had the new Xbox and new PlayStation. This year was more of a gaming E3. So just to see kind of like the diversity between the two, juxtaposing last year to this year it was interesting just to see like the evolution of some of the games that they were promoting last year that are actually out now.
Yeah.
And then some of the games that are coming out, in the future. It's just cool, man. It's cool stuff.
I agree. It's very cool. It was an interesting time though, because last year we had them a lot of like, here's what's gonna happen with these consoles. Next gen are coming. Next gen's coming, and there was really not much available other than sort of like buzzing about what this next gen could be.
Yeah.
Then obviously in between E3s, we have the announcement of all these next gen consoles, the release of them. So PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and so we had so that all happened between E3s. So this one, and the big story here is that both consoles kind of were released and kind of hit with a thud a little bit. They're both kind of like, and so in fact, Xbox and Microsoft has been sort of reinventing itself on the fly, trying to make up for the sales.
For sure.
PlayStation's been doing okay sales wise, but they've both dipped off considerably. They're talking about price drops and other things. So,
but I think that's typical. Usually when a new console drops. Within the first year, the price is going to be pretty high, and then the following year, it's gonna taper down a little bit to get more consumer base. But I think that I don't know. I think that this holiday season, we talked about this all the time on the show. I think fourth quarter, the sales of both of these consoles are going to be incredible. It's going to skyrocket.
Well, that's what we saw. What we saw at this E3 was an announcement of a lot of next gen console games, right? And a lot of these games aren't coming out till fall, until fall or November, and so they're all sort of prepping there. And well, let's unpack this. So Microsoft has a couple announcements. Microsoft's big announcements is really they were games, right? They're talking about Sunset Overdrive, which Sunset Overdrive is this sort of like fun adventure, parkour meets I don't know what game, but it won all kinds of awards. It looks amazing. It's just this sort of like fun jump around game which takes advantage of the next gen graphics and stuff. But Halo Master Chief was a big announcement that's coming for the Halo Master Chief Collection, which are going to release all four. Yeah, all the Halos in one box set, all the map packs, everything you ever know. They're all sort of remastered, if you will, for next gen.
Right.
So go ahead.
Speaking of Halo, I was just disappointed in terms of I thought there would be more promotion for the Halo 5. I thought it was very minimal.
It's not ready, and it's not until 2015.
Yeah,
and I feel like that they have learned lessons from really like you can't really get two people. They mentioned it. They got a small mention
exactly,
but they're like their thing is like, hey, we're going to give you this Halo box set to hold you over until we get to there, so you can actually play through all these remastered, play through all the map packs remastered, and I will do that actually. I will do that. I like the idea of that. I mean, I feel a little ripped off that they're going to get more of my money for 5 games that I already bought, but or 4 games that I've already purchased. But I'll take it. I'll take it. The Forza, the new Forza game, which looks great. Forza Horizon 2, that actually have the car out there, of course, and that all happened. Crackdown, which looked great. Microsoft had some really great looking games, but I feel like the Microsoft proprietary games were just kind of like, again, meh. I mean, really they have Forza, Halo, this new thing they launched, Sunset Overdrive, which looks great, but that's kind of it. Nintendo, on the other hand, they announced all their franchises: Super Smash Brothers, Zelda, Star Fox, like all of their stuff is sort of being announced, and Nintendo's hanging in there. They had some problems, in terms of keeping up. They don't have a big splash. They're still rocking the 3DS and the Wii U, but they saw their loyal supporters, and they know who their market is and what their games are, and they're with it. And then lastly, Sony's PlayStation has some great looking games, man. I don't know. They a little bit again. All their franchises are coming back. Little Big Planet, 3, Uncharted 4, which looks like a movie, as it always does, but even more so on next gen.
Dark Souls.
But they have this thing called the Order 1886, which has been long talked about. It's this sort of like steampunk shoot 'em up thing, kind of like BioShock Infinite, but darker. And that game is probably the best looking game I saw in the entire thing. I'm not even a PlayStation guy.
Well, I know entire thing.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
That's heavy.
In the entire show, it's the best looking game I saw. With a very close second being Call of Duty.
Okay.
The new Call of Duty.
Man, to be honest, for me, out of all the things I saw, the Call of Duty looked the most amazing.
That thing looks incredible. I can't even wrap my head around.
But that's a game.
Yeah,
it looks like a movie.
It looks like a movie. The next gen, they really stepped up that next gen stuff. And the demo we saw a couple private demos as well. And the demo that we were able to see, Idris Elba, is one of the stars of the game, and he does this sort of demo where he walks up and talks about like all the features, and you can see his face, you can see sweat, you can see his eyes dilating.
Yeah, like the details from that demo was just incredible. Like even like the background, like the shadowing, the colors, everything was just immaculately plotted out. And that's what's impressive to me as a filmmaker, just like how they presented it, almost like a film. Just like the shots, the composition, like the storyboard, like all of that, like the writing is just all specific and all like really strategic.
It gets better and better. I mean, every year they're really good at these games, but man, the cinematic quality of some of these games are really, really incredible. Especially like the new game that I'm also excited about is Destiny, which is Bungie's new game. And Bungie's famous for bringing us the whole Halo series. Halo was Bungie, and it was fantastic. They did a great job with it, and they handed it over to another company, to Xbox's own sort of like in-house company there. But Bungie has created this thing, Destiny. Now they spent about years and years and years developing and perfecting the mythology around Halo, and it made them $1 billion. You know what I mean? So it made them billions of dollars, and so now what they've done is they decided to say we're going to do it again. They've created a whole nother world and a whole nother mythology around this thing, Destiny, and they're betting heavily on it. I mean, they've got the game itself costs about $500 million to develop. Now, that's bigger than any film ever. There's no $500 million film. Right. Lord of the Rings, whatever it is, Star Wars. Is not spending $500 million.
Well, actually, I mean, you collectively add those production budgets for those franchises, you might get there.
Collectively talk about franchise, we're talking about one
game
release, $500 million budget. So, and they'll make it back within the first hour, I'm sure. Crazy. But it's open world. It's a lot of things happening. They're creating this whole mythology, and what their plan is to have this game continue on, not unlike Halo, for 10 years. It's a 10-year franchise they're planning. So, I mean, it's just interesting from a business standpoint for Bungie to say we're going to take all of our Halo money, get set up, and dump it back into this franchise, which will set our company up for the next 10 years. I don't know what games will look like in 10 years. I don't know what we'll be playing Destiny 8 on in 8 years from now.
It might be no controllers.
Yeah, I mean,
it might be all in your head.
Yeah, so it's interesting to think. But I did see a little bit of that game, and it looks amazing, and it looks storyline set in a distant future, and it has all the stuff Alien had, but it's a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Halo. Man. So we'll see.
I think Joe, that's a good point too that you made. Like, what will video games look like 10 years from now? Because if you turn around and look over your shoulder in the past, what video games looked like 10 years ago? Yes. Like, man, we've come an incredibly long way. And every year it just seems like, these huge technological jumps and advancements. We're talking about a decade from now. Like, it's going to be crazy.
I just remember the stuff that was blowing my mind 10 years ago at E3. Like, literally blowing my mind is on my iPhone now, right? So it's like the stuff I was seeing that was just like, this is incredible. And now I'm like
it's Monday. You do it every day.
Yeah, I've got like 15 apps and like that on my iPhone. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I have no idea, because everything it's one of these years where I felt like, okay, from a graphic standpoint, some of these games, like I said, Call of Duty, this 1886, also Madden 15 was spectacular. I mean, and I'm a football fan. I'm a Madden guy, but I mean, I've never seen a Madden look like,
so clean, right? It looked super clean.
They're taking full advantage early on of the next gen hardware. Now we saw it being run on PS4, which says something. I wonder if they didn't have any running on Xbox One, which makes me nervous because I'm an Xbox guy, obviously. But they ran it on PS4 and it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Literally, talk about beads of sweat. You know, it looked like you're watching a game
For sure.
And one of the things we talked to I mean, we'll get this sound. We have this sound for you, but we'll get this sound for you next week. But we talked to the creative director of gameplay. It's so funny. They have so many like developers and so many programmers that work on these games. One of the guys we talked to is the creative director of gameplay. It's one guy who has 45 people working under him.
That was an amazing thing. Finish your point, but I wanted to hit that point too. Just like the infrastructure behind building a game, like from like you said, the programmers, the developers, the designers, the writers.
Well, you're talking about you break down. You have Electronic Arts as a company, which is massive, and then within EA structure, that's me. I'm sorry. Within EA structure, you have EA Sports,
right?
And then within EA Sports, you have Madden, right? The Madden team. So the Madden team is massive, right?
Super.
And it's so massive that they have department heads. They have probably about 15 to 20 department heads on Madden.
It's crazy.
And this guy, Rex, was a creative director of gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking, and so and under Rex, he has about a team of 45 people. So this guy's one job is to make sure that the gameplay is at its highest level.
It's crazy.
And to do that, he has a team of 45 people. So anyway, that blew my mind. Because then we talked to, I'm head of helmets.
Yeah.
I'm
cleats.
I'm the cleat guy. But anyway, so one of the things he told us was that they actually went out and finally said, forget it, hired a bunch of people from NFL Films, the people who do those great NFL films for over the years, and do Hard Knocks.
Yeah, to consult.
And actually shoot stuff.
Right.
So they went out and used their cinematography and their angles.
And incorporated into the game.
Incorporated in the game. And it makes such a huge difference because when you're watching those cutaways, and you're watching all that stuff, it looks like NFL films.
Those nuances and those subtleties are important. That's what makes you have an affinity towards it because it makes it real life.
Yeah.
And I think that's a smart move to be able to do that. They do that with like the Call of Duty joints too. They'll film like real military soldier dudes
and real cinematographers and real people go do all that stuff. Well, this was interesting for me because the simple fact that they EA over the years says, I remember when they first did the cutaways and they did the TV style broadcast. I remember when that happened, and they would essentially take watch a television broadcast and emulate those shots. So it's more of just like a some like a technical director on a switcher. Like they would emulate the shots that they would see, and it still felt pretty real
for sure.
But this feels you
in there.
It's a whole nother level. Anyway, I got off on that point. But
it's all good. Are you a Mortal Kombat? Were you a Mortal Kombat fan?
Yes, I was, but I didn't go super ham with Mortal Kombat. I mean, I was kind of like probably 2 layers deep. I know people who were like deep. Were you one of those dudes?
I was one of those dudes.
I mean, I couldn't,
being that they're bringing it back, Mortal Kombat 10, it's gonna be cool, man.
Well, all those fights, Killer Instinct. We played a little of that. Love Mortal Kombat. What do you love? What do you like about it? No,
I do love it.
Okay.
I grew up with it as a kid, so I played it religiously. And I know that when kids are younger, they're not supposed to be playing it because it's so violent. But I've always thought that the programming and how they figure out how to do the different finishing techniques, that always threw me for a loop, because the fact that they can sit there and go, okay, we have to program to make this character rip the spine from here or do that. And as a martial artist, it's always kind of cool to see how they take actual movements and then kind of amp it up to make someone's head fall off or use their their spleen as like a whip or something like that. It's just, I always thought it was cool. So
it is cool. Thank you. It is cool. It's like let's say the next gen graphics, talking about the violence and next gen graphics. I mean, we'll see how that is because it's a very violent game. Always has been violent.
Super.
But all those fighting games are fantastic. Batman Arkham, I forget what it's called, but the new Batman,
Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is out and was announced, and it had the full size Batmobile, and that was very cool, and that looks great with pursuit mode and combat mode, and turning the Batmobile into a tank, and Batman in combat mode was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There was tons of sights and sounds. What was your favorite thing that you saw?
Call of Duty, man, hands down.
Really, you just that
it was dope, man. Like, I mean, just like I already hit the point from a cinematographer perspective, just how the game was put together, how it looked, the textures, the storyline, just the feel of it. Like, I was fully entrenched. Like, I was like watching a movie, and like, man, I mean, I'm not as heavy as you into video games, but that made me want to go buy everything like today, right now.
No, it's,
like for real,
it's good. I mean, like I play those, and what's cool about those two, what they do is they do a really good job of like a blend of as a first person shooter, you know. Directing the action, like sometimes you can look wherever you want and go wherever you want because you're controlling the thing, but also do a good job in the cutscenes of subtly doing a cutscene where like they're controlling it, and you see stuff and they bring you back in. It's just very, very well done and very well shot. But and that's set in the future, so there's definitely a future. The tech in that game is incredible. What else? What did you see besides Call of Duty?
So I went. We went with our friend Ryan Hollins. It was just fun. Just hanging out and just being able to kind of like play with some of the installations there. Like, I mean, aside from the video games, just like the installations, and like you get to become a character with some of the things, like playing with some of the soldier guys from Call of Duty. That was kind of cool. Just the overall visual stimulation, just being on the floor and just seeing all the lights and sounds, and just a lot of cool stuff. Like, I mean,
for those who haven't been too, it's like I'm always amazed at the amount. I don't say the amount of money they spend, but like when we're talking about a booth, we're talking about the Xbox booth. We're talking about something that is, we're talking something that's like 60,000 square feet, 70,000 square feet. I mean, it's like
huge.
It's not just a booth.
You can run a few laps in it.
Yes, it's massive, and so in fact so big that hall, the South Hall really only held
like 3 or 4, 5 brands.
Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and like 2 other people because they were so huge. And they also did a thing this year, which they did the last 2 years, which is new, is they have made their booths enclosed.
Right.
So before it was kind of open. It was like PlayStation. You can kind of see a bunch of screens. And the layout was different over the years. It was always massive, and you can play all their games in one thing. This year, when you have to walk into the Microsoft area, into the Xbox area, like it's its own environment.
Absolutely.
And I like
that's smart though.
I like that because it's more immersive. Same thing with PlayStation. They'll walk into the PlayStation environment.
Be in that world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be distracted by PlayStation when you're in Xbox.
Right.
So close it off.
And that seems to be the thing across the board with everyone, where it's like it's locked up, closed off. Wherever you're going, you have to walk into this place and you're immersed in that world, whether it be for a game, or for a console. So what are you more optimistic about these consoles now that you've seen? Now that you've seen. So let's start with Xbox. You more,
Absolutely. I think I've stated it multiple times. I feel that the tail end of this year, 2014, and next year is going to be explosive for the gaming industry. I feel like the amount of money that will be made will be heavy, super heavy. Right. And just speaking personally, I mean, like, this E3 really made me want to buy everything. Like, I want to invest more into the video game world. I feel like I'm missing out, and like just seeing like the sophistication of everything. Like, we talk technology all day, but like really like taking a step back and looking at what was put in to make this, like, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, what the consoles do. So obviously you have all these next gen consoles. You have a lot of third party developers that develop for all consoles. But then you have this cool thing where Microsoft games are only, you can't play Halo on PlayStation. You can't play Destiny on, you can't play some of these games on PlayStation.
Either or, right?
You can't play Uncharted. So some of these games have franchises that are exclusive to those things, and I gotta say, some of that PlayStation stuff, man, that Uncharted and the 1886, it made me want to go buy a PlayStation.
Man, that's what I'm saying.
Buy
it all.
I know. Well, Ryan and I had this conversation. I'm like, because I still haven't got my Xbox One yet, and I will not buy a PlayStation 4 just to buy one. So, but I'm really thinking about getting both. I don't know.
The thing is, man, when are you gonna have the time to play them? That's the thing.
I know. I just got a new TV, and I hooked up my old Xbox because I wanted to just play on my brand new TV, my high resolution TV, and I still haven't done it.
Man, speaking of TVs, not to derail our video conversation, but have you? We haven't talked about it on the show yet, but have you seen the curved TVs commercials?
No.
You haven't seen them yet?
The commercials?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, they're up and running, man.
Okay.
So they're here.
Oh, they're here. Okay. From CES.
Yep.
All right. Well, you can cop one of those for a cool whatever it is.
Yeah.
5 figures. Yeah. Cool. $10,000.
Right.
I don't know. They're cool, but they're the ones that curve that were flat and then curve.
And curve. Both of them. Yep.
All right. That's interesting. It's from Samsung. I did buy a Samsung, but I did not buy that.
Okay.
And I did not buy the 4K. Which I really wanted to, but I didn't.
Cool.
Anyway, I think that's all we got. I think that's it for us, man. Like, let's we'll come back next week. We'll play a little sound from that. Oh, we did. We had an interview with Troy Baker. Who is we didn't talk about Troy. Troy Baker is the voice of 1,000 video games, and he's like the Brad Pitt of video games.
We'll probably run that next week.
Yeah, we'll run next week because he's a big star. He was kind of talked to us for a long time.
And for those of you that listen, like, honestly, like, this is it's not a sales pitch, but if you have the opportunity next year to go to E3, put it on the calendar and go. It's a really dope experience.
Agreed. So thank you, Akili. Where can we find you otherwise?
You can find me at Akili Shine, AKILI Shine, on Instagram and Twitter. And what about you, sir? Where you at? You
can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. And that's it. We'll see you next week on Geek.Nerd.Tech.
There it is.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.